It started with a single strand. A long dark filament tugged from her scalp on a Tuesday morning, right before brushing her teeth and slipping on her pumps. Camille Jensen didn't even notice at first. Her fingers had drifted upward absently, brushing past her temple and yanking. A slight sting. A release. She glanced down at her hand. The hair was still warm. For some reason, that unsettled her more than the act itself. She was late for work. She tossed the strand into the sink and rushed out the door. By Friday, it was a handful. Camille lived alone in Unit 3B of the Gallowmere Residences, a squat, crumbling brick building nestled between two new high-rises that cast permanent shadows over its facade. The hallway lights flickered constantly. The boiler banged in the walls like it was alive, and the floors, they creaked in places no one walked. She'd planned to move for months, but inertia had roots. Rent was cheap, and she didn't have to talk to anyone. But lately, things had changed. The walls had begun to sweat, not visibly, not wet, but the air felt damp, like soil. Camille sometimes woke in the night choking on it, lungs heavy as if she'd been breathing underground. The neighbors, what few remained, were quiet. The man in 4D used to play trumpet every evening. Now his windows were dark. The old woman from 2A had vanished. Management said she moved, but her mail still piled up in the lobby. The building was going hollow. By the second week, Camille's compulsion to pull her hair had grown violent. She'd wake with strands twisted around her fingers, blood on her pillow, the back of her scalp burning. She began skipping work, claiming migraines, then stopped answering emails altogether. In the bathroom mirror, she inspected the widening bald patches. They didn't look like natural hair loss. The skin beneath had changed, taut and pale, with a faint, branching pattern just under the surface. She traced it with trembling fingers. It looked like roots. At night, she heard things crawling in the walls. Not mice. Larger. Slower. Like something dragging itself just beyond the plaster. Sometimes she thought she heard them whispering. Not in words, but in a rhythmic pulse. Like wind pushing through hollow tunnels, it resonated in her molars. She knocked on the walls once, trying to find the source. Something knocked back. The dreams came next. Black soil swallowing her toes, cold roots coiling up her legs, pressing into her flesh like veins. A deep hum in the ground, like 1,000 voices speaking without sound. She saw herself underground, naked and bald, her body threaded through the tendrils that pulsed like arteries. Above her, the Gallowmere stood like a monument, not a building, a body. She was inside it. When she woke, she found dirt beneath her fingernails. She began sealing off rooms. First the bedroom, then the kitchen. She dragged furniture to block the doors, laid towels at the cracks. The hallway was next. She avoided the elevator entirely, convinced it led not to the lobby, but down. Farther than any basement should go. She slept on the bathroom floor with the light on, the only room where the walls didn't whisper. Not yet. One day, while examining a sore spot on her scalp with a magnifying mirror, she saw something move just beneath the skin, tiny, wriggling. She froze. A thin line pressed outward from the surface, too dark for a vein, too smooth for a scab. It squirmed away when she touched it, disappearing under a flap of scabbed skin. She screamed so hard she cracked her voice. The next day, she found a letter slipped under her door. No name, just a warning in scrawled handwriting. Don't feed it, that's how it grows. She searched the hallway. Nothing, just dim light and mildew. Who left it? Was it for her? Was it already too late? On the 18th night, she woke to find herself standing in front of the boiler room at the end of the hall, barefoot, bleeding from her scalp. The lock on the boiler door had been snapped, rusted clean through. She didn't remember walking there. Inside was only darkness, but it breathed, warm and damp and rhythmic. The floor trembled beneath her. Something was alive under the building. Something old. Something hungry. She ran back to her apartment and didn't leave again. That night, the hum returned, stronger than ever. Her scalp throbbed in time with it. She felt the same pulsing under her floorboards. She curled into a ball in the tub, rocking, muttering, pulling at the last strands of her hair. "You can't have me," she whispered. "You can't root me." But it already had. The next morning, she was bald. No blood, no pain. Just bare, pale skin across her scalp, and something faintly glossy beneath, like a husk just beginning to crack open. She felt peaceful. Then she smiled. The residents of Gallowmere noticed the smell first. Earthy, rotting, like a forest after heavy rain and something dead buried underneath. Maintenance opened Unit 3B a week later. The apartment was empty. The furniture was shoved into corners. The bathtub was filled with hair, black, tangled, half floating in a gelatinous sludge. In the center of the living room floor was a hole, small and circular, no more than a foot wide. It didn't end. They sealed the apartment. A week later, the building lost power, then water. Then the entire west wing had to be evacuated due to structural instability. Rumors spread about Camille, about the hair, about the thing in the walls. No one could explain the roots found crawling up through the foundation, thick as fists, black as oil. Eventually, the city condemned the entire building, but demolition never came. Some say Camille still lives in the dark below Gallowmere, her body long gone, but her mind stretched across the roots like a web, feeding, growing. Others say the building isn't dead, it's just asleep again, waiting. And on windless nights, the street outside still smells like dirt and old blood. And if you stand close enough, you'll hear the hum and feel something pulling right at the roots.